Think of the Pope, they think of Jesus. They think that, this is the representative of Jesus, a stand-in, a substitute. And that's exactly what the word used to mean. So it didn't mean necessarily against, like the word has been devolved to mean today. It simply meant a stand-in, a substitute. So now you can see how this correlates to the Bible, and it says that in the last days, the latter days, before the end of the age, that the Antichrist would stand up in this this most holy place, and speak with the voice of God. And this latest Pope, this Francis Pope, I understand is actually he's different from a lot of the other popes, in as much as he's known to be a champion of the poor, and of course the God of the Bible is clearly a champion of the poor, and Jesus is clearly a champion of the poor. So if this guy is for real, then he's for real. Okay, it just means that he's, again, the stand-in. And for this time in history, this is the one. And God knows all these things ahead of time, how the events of humanity will unfold. Most of us don't understand. It's written that even the angels of heaven don't know everything. Even Jesus doesn't know everything. But the Father of creation, that the owner of the universe and all that is contained therein, that laid out the galaxies, that laid out the solar systems, that created all life on earth, all the flora, all the fauna. This is the one that knows everything. And we are all able, we all have the same ability to tap into that knowledge. He doesn't hide his character, his nature, his personality from us. He wants us to know him. He wants us to know how powerful the forces we're up against in this world are. He wants us to find our way out of confusion, out of Babylon, which is a metaphor for confusion, and to come out into the light and to realize that we cannot serve two masters. So there is a dividing line, and we have to be on the right side of that line. I think it's like the mark of the beast, that this is something you've got to understand in your mind, in your heart. You've got to say, wait, I get it. I can't be on both sides. I've got to speak out on behalf of one or the other. And this is the way I am going to go. I am going to serve God and God alone. I cannot serve two masters. I've got to know the truth so that I can be set free, so that I can help others be free. And in this world, the only way you can be set free is to be set free from the control that these money masters have over humanity. And the only way to render them irrelevant is to have everybody be prosperous. It's either everybody is prosperous or everybody is poor. And of course, I believe that God would have everybody be prosperous and secure. It's what you would want for your children, for example. And if you think that God Almighty wants anything less than what you want for your own children, then your thinking is askew. And you need to turn and repent and choose today who you will serve. Okay, because this is what it comes down to. That you can't run forever. At some point, you've got to take a stand. You've got to be on record. You've got to say, I get it. That's it. You've got to simply say, I get it, and I choose right over wrong. I choose good over evil. I choose light over darkness. I choose love over hate. And I want to go to a better world. I don't want to live in a world that reeks to high heaven. Okay, every which way from Sunday, we've all been taken. We've all been fed lie after lie. And we've got to get real and face the music. We've got to wake up and smell the steaming pile of dog crap. And after we wake up to this horrific reality that has been invented for us and see that we're on the precipice of massive destruction on the earth like has never been seen before, that we're on the brink of God literally losing his cool, which is not an easy task, since this is a God that is very slow to anger and quick to forgive. But you see, these rulers, all these people that are at the very top, this Illuminati class, these hypocrites, these same ones that Jesus went off on repeatedly, these are the ones he could not suffer hypocrisy. okay? And he made it very clear by just letting loose on these people and letting them know how disgusting that was in the sight of these are liars in your face. And it's almost like the lie is so deep that these people believe it because they're so convincing the way that they've won people over to their belief system. And look how they've done it so scientifically. Look over the ages how things have evolved. Okay, you take the money printing. Okay, at one time it was a lot different on this planet. That, you know what, it was a lot simpler. People would trade goods and services for one another, and it was a lot more egalitarian. But these people, through that satanic power to deceive, they tapped into that force, that magic sorcery, that money printing, and they have slowly inculcated the public for thousands of years into trusting in this false god. This is how Satan has usurped humanity, has usurped the earth, has gained ownership over the earth. So this is the most powerful force in this world, short of the power of truth, which of course is immeasurably more powerful, the power of God. If you accept it, if you don't reject it, if you embrace it and seize upon it and treasure it as being very valuable wisdom to what you pass on to others, this understanding of how these people operate and how we're all being deceived and confused by these people. So they have the money printing rights. The politicians are right in there with these money printers, and then they use the mainstream media, who get paid lots of what? Money to tell the news, or, as may be the case, not tell the news that they don't want us to know. And then you got the colleges and universities influenced by these very powerful elitist groups like the Carnegie Foundation, the Rockefeller, and it goes on and on and on, that support these foundations. And education in itself, it used to mean wisdom. I mean, the word didn't even used to exist thousands of years ago. The term was wisdom, knowledge, learning, okay? And they have devolved that word too now to mean it means what we say it means. And if you don't have this credentialed education, then you really are nobody, okay? You're just a pipe dreamer. You're an idealist. We don't care about your opinion. Unless you're successful, according to our definition of the word successful, which is serving the God of this world well and having lots of money, lots of credit with that God of this world, then you're nobody. Okay? And I'm here to tell you, you are somebody, because the only opinion that's really important is the one and only that owns your soul, not just your body, but your soul. Because the worst these people can do to us is kill our bodies, and they can't do anything more after that. They can never take our soul without our consent. And so, you know, that's something we can all take great joy in, to know we can keep what's really, really, really important, our substance, our true essence, and that's safe in the hands of God. So we've got to understand just how profoundly we have all been manipulated and corralled into believing the way these people want us to believe, to having the perception of reality that they want us to have, not the one that's true, just the one they want us to have for their purposes, to stay in power and control. Who has any use for these people? What do they do for society? Nothing. All they are is gigantic leeches. They just steal the wealth of the nation. That's what they are. They're liars, cheaters, thieves, and murderers at the top. Do you understand how these people operate? Do you understand how frustrated and outraged the righteous people in this world are today, and how they cannot contain themselves? They must speak out. Like myself, I'm compelled. And it reminds me of what Jesus taught when he said, you know, if you silence these that believe in my words, then, you know, the stones, the rocks will cry out in their behalf. And I believe this could be a literal interpretation, or it could be a metaphor. One way or another, it tells you that you're not going to stop the force for good that's going to take over this planet. And all you people that are opposed to justice being achieved, fulfilled on earth, righteousness, to where the meek inherit this planet and they live together in peace and harmony with one another, with freedom not for some, through economic freedom, but for all, through an understanding that you're born wealthy. Who gives economic freedom? What is economic freedom? What role will money play in a perfect world? Be ruthlessly honest with yourself and tell me. Because to me, in my mind, this is the greatest form of discrimination, okay? That says, listen, you either have the stuff and you have the advantage in this world, or you don't have the stuff and you have a distinct disadvantage in this world. It's very clear. It's not both ways. And these people manipulate us, I'm telling you. Every time I turn around, I think of a new way that they manipulate us. And the latest is this talk about, lately, you know, there's a lot of talk about the minimum wage workers being disgruntled at the ever-increasing cost of living without a corresponding adjustment in their wages. That they're told, hey, look, we can't do that. If we give you a raise, that's going to cause inflation. And it just outrages me, these blatant lies. We've all got to just see through it. Folks, when they come up with this stuff, ask these ignorant people. Either they're ignorant idiots or they're liars, okay? But one way or another, you've got to straighten them out. So you've got to have a very clear, concise understanding of basic, fundamental economic principles. And all this stuff I'm talking about, it all relates to the same thing. It's all about knowledge and wisdom and truth and empowerment. Coming out of Babylon, coming out of confusion. You've got to be able to retort to those people and say, wait a minute, this is not a question of what came first, the chicken or the egg, okay? A cost of living adjustment is what it is, okay? The inflation in the cost of living caused a need. That's the justification for the COLA, a cost of living adjustment. A corresponding rise in wages just in order to maintain a minimum standard of living. Could I make it any clearer to you folks? You've got to understand the implications, the ramifications of letting these people get away with these lies, of tolerating this and going along with this silently. You've got to share complicity in this scheme. The scheme is this. This is their plan. We know now they want to depopulate. And to all you naysayers out there, I say, look at this fact. The fact is that they no longer need consumers. So your argument in saying they don't want to depopulate, they need the consumers to keep buying their stuff and make profit. Not anymore. Not when you've got price fixing, okay? There is not a semblance of supply and demand. There's less than an iota of supply and demand based reality anymore. Okay, this is the way it works. Let's just take the commodity of gasoline. In America, gasoline use is way down. According to the laws of supply and demand, unless there's a disruption in the supply chain, the price for gasoline should drop correspondingly because there's more supply, a superfluity, an excess of supply, and the demand is dropped. So proportionately, prices should drop. Has that happened? No, it hasn't. Now, they're trying to get us to understand their new logic, which is a different economic principle called price fixing. And their justification is, hey, sales are down, profits are down, and so in order to compensate for those lower sales, those lower profits, we've got to raise our prices accordingly. You see, they're not willing to take a loss. They're not willing. So do you understand just how sick this is? How they could get rid of more than half the people and not lose a step, not lose a penny. In fact, they could not only raise their prices more to compensate for lower sales, why not tack a little on for good measure? What the heck? What do they care? That's money in their